Call this meeting of Fairfield County Council to order, Monday, October 23, 2017. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly seconded that council approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? 6-0, thank you. We're now down to the approval of minutes from the regular meeting, October 9, 2017. Do we have a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the minutes from the regular meeting, October 9, 2017. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Aye. We'll now do the invocation, which I skipped over, Ms. Goins. Thank you.
Lord God, we just thank you, Father, for this day. We thank you for your presence, your grace, your mercy, and your favor that is so great toward us. We ask as we discuss the business of the county that you would be the leader in this, Lord God. Orchestrate our minds and our hearts. We do the right thing that is for everybody, Lord God. We sometimes can't please everybody on the same accord, but we do it in a way, Lord God, that we can come to an agreement. Lord, we ask a blessing upon those that are here tonight. We ask for safe traveling, grace, and mercies on the return home. Now, God, have your way in the meeting. Amen.
Thank you very much, Ms. Goins. We're now down to public presentations. We have one item tonight, which is a proclamation in remembrance of Mr. Skip Hannon. However, we're going to move that down on the agenda just a little bit to allow for everyone who needs to be here for that to be in the room. First, public comment session. Ms. Davis.
We have, excuse me, two speakers tonight. First, Mr. Randy Sisk, speaking on the airport.
Good evening, council, staff, public. I stood here several months back when I was appointed to the Aeronautics Commission. Swore I'd try to do my very best. When I come on, Mr. Ross, that day, my first official duty was the wings and wheels. Mr. Ross patted me on the back and said, "Have fun, this is my last." He stepped off. Give us 2. We are a board of 5, not like 7. I was able to get Dan Heath to come on board. Mr. Price said, "See ya, gotta go." Left us with 2 yet again. I was able to talk Jonathan Good into serving. That was ruled would not be allowed because of the position he's in. So what I'm here before you, I represent Chairman Smith. Dan Heath represents Councilman Robinson. The 2 that went off were Dougie Pauling and Michael Trapp. But that leaves us with Miss Bertha, Dan Roof, and Mr. Jimmy Ray. We need somebody from your area. We are sitting idle. We cannot move forward. We've got where Mr. Robinson possibly could serve as ex officio. However, again, we don't even have enough for a quorum. We have a wonderful director now. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. That lady back here has got all sorts of knowledge in airports. But we have to have at least 1 for quorum, preferably 5. So if you would get together, you know the people in your areas, your constituents, if you would, get them to come forward to Miss Patty, fill out that long sheet, 1-side application, and get us some help at the airport. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Randy Bright, speaking on budget report.
Randy Bright, District 1, Ridgeway. I just have a request when we make the presentation on the budget, and that is to be give some more explicit information on account 042 debt service transfers. What's the status on that account? And it is interesting to note that the final budget was $400,000 more than the original recommendation. Are we going to spend all that money this year, or and what does that debt service cover? So just a little more explicit information on the debt service, what its status is and what its future is, and do we intend to disperse all those funds by the end of the year? Thank you. Ooh, 50 seconds to go. No, I'm done. Thanks.
Thank you.
That concludes segment one.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. Next is a public hearing concerning an application to be submitted to the South Carolina Community Block Grant Program to obtain citizen input. We'll open this public hearing at 6:06 p.m. Monday, October 23, 2017. We have anyone signed to speak for the public hearing, Ms. Davis?
No one signed to speak.
All right. We'll now close this public hearing at 6:07, October 23, 2017. Next is a resolution authorizing the council chairman to execute the First Amendment to the performance agreement between Fairfield County Element Television Company, LLC, and the South Carolina Coordinating Council for Economic Development. Do we have a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the resolution as stated. Any discussion? Mr. Taylor, would you please just explain for the benefit of the public what we're doing here?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. This FELO agreement, basically what's occurred here is due to a federal tariff, Element TV has not been able to meet the threshold that it has to either for jobs or investment. This does not cost the county in any way, shape, or form. It's just a resolution acknowledging that we don't object to this modification of the agreement, the FELO agreement, and it allows them to take advantage of the tax credits and state incentives that they were initially offered, even though they don't fully meet all the thresholds as far as job creation and or capital investment that they were initially supposed to meet.
Anyone on council? All right, thank you very much. It's been moved and properly seconded to adopt the resolution as stated. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? 6-0. The resolution is adopted. Now down to board and commission minutes for the Chamber of Commerce. We have a motion. It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the Chamber of Commerce minutes as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? 6-0. Thank you. No board and commission appointments. And now down to old business. Proposed water and sewer contract with the town of Winsboro. We're going to hold this until after executive session pending further discussion. Then item B is a proposed hospital transformation agreement between Fairfield Memorial Hospital, Providence Hospital, and Fairfield County Council. We're also going to hold this until after executive session pending further discussion. New business, there is none. And now we're down to the county administrator's report. Mr. Taylor.
First up, we have Ms. Teresa Lawson, who is the director of our detention center. We're going to have her, as we do, okay, we're going to have you speak instead. Okay. We're going to have a report from the detention center, giving council an update on what's going on at the detention center and have them available to answer any questions that council may have as far as the operations there.
Thank you. I'm just here to basically give you an idea of what we've been doing in the past about 5 years as far as getting the detention center back up to par. It was pretty bad. Basically, our first thing was upon Ms. Lawson taking over there, we wanted to get our security system back up to par. That entails the cameras, the locks, monitors, get everything up to modern standards, if you will. The cameras that if you look at the panel there on that clip, the panel that we had was basically a trap. We were working on it with coins and keys and paper clips, basically, to keep it up. All of those blotches that you see on that panel, the operator would end up shocking themselves, trying to get doors open. And that was a pneumatic system. Once it went down, locks would basically be open. Those are old cameras that we had. Couldn't tell what was going on them. You could see silhouettes of people, and you basically could tell that they were black or white. That was about it. The controllers for the cameras basically did not work. worked whenever they wanted to, basically. We got Mr. Anderson and asked that we could go forward with getting a new system in. This company came in. They jumped right on it, came in first day. They were putting in things not only for their project, but they put in things such as conduit and such, where basically anyone else that came in would have a means without going through all the headache that we had to go through to keep the jail up to par. This company came in, a lot of times they came in to have people evaluate what they were doing. Their work was just as neat and nice, 20 feet off the floor in a place that we rarely go in, as it was right there in open view. We had very few means of communication throughout the building. We added intercoms in some vital areas that we can speak with the public, speak with the inmates and each other throughout the building, as well as a PA system. One of the things that was of concern was our means of tracking what we did as far as rounds. So if an inmate said we weren't making rounds and something took place, this system, this guard tour system that we ended up with, we can't manipulate any other information. It's on camera, it's on computer. Either we did it or we didn't do it. This system right here ensures that it's done that just that way. That's the buttons that we put in. We put those on every single cell at the jail. That way, every single cell is checked when we make our rounds, and there's documentation to back that up. The company came in, put in monitors, digital monitors. This is one that's in one of our open areas. They put a protective barrier there so that the public, especially in that particular area, in the intake area, that it wouldn't be destroyed by people coming and going. Had to retrofit our sliding doors with some electric motors. Basically, what we ended up doing is getting away from the pneumatic system, went total electric, and went up to a more modern system. We have IP cameras. These cameras show you a lot more detail. You can really get down and see exactly who you're dealing with and what was going on. This is our new control system. And all of those wires run out to our intercoms, our cameras and such, and everything had to be tied into that system. And this company did a great job of that. This is our high definition cameras. These cameras right here, everyone that has come from any other facility really look at our system and decide, hey, we need to look at ours because we have a very, very good system now. Have backup power. I mean, this company looked at it and went way overboard with backup power. We have a 3-phase backup power system where it has to be pretty catastrophic for us to lose power to our cameras and our monitors right now. And this is the neat work that the end result of all that work was. And this is our panel system now. It's touch screen. We have a lot of new people, younger people coming into the facility. They understand iPads and such. This is touch screen. If they can run that touch screen on the iPad, it's very, very simple for them to learn this system. Our kitchen. All right. Our kitchen, all of the appliances in the kitchen were aging, so we systematically replaced those. We have new steam tables, new refrigerators, and all of these things were replaced once we realized that there was no more life left in the ones that we had. So we squeezed that lemon pretty tight. Our warmers in the ovens, and then our freezer, which became a big headache. That they tried to fix it over the years, and frankly, it became pretty apparent that it had outlived its life expectancy. As you can tell with all the cracks and some of the repairs that over the years that they tried to make, it was unsuccessful. So we were having someone come out literally monthly trying to keep this thing running. So it was determined that we benefit by getting a new one altogether. It was more cost effective. So these guys came in. We got this thing up, and it's been running like a top ever since. And again, with the building being about 19 years old, all of the AC units and the heating units were about 17 to 18 years old. We found that in most cases, they no longer even make parts for them. So it was running our maintenance department crazy trying to keep them up. So we elected to go all of our system. These guys came in and they said they come in and get them done all in one day and have them running. I didn't believe them until I saw them do it. These guys came in and got 12 to 14 units up and running, taking the old ones out and putting the new ones in one day. And now we have some high efficient units that work quite well. And not only that, they removed all of the thermostats from the building. That takes the human element out of the maintenance thing. So maintenance, whenever we have an issue with temperature, maintenance takes care of that. Our boilers. The boilers, once again, have about a 15-year lifespan. With those boilers having a 15-year lifespan, most of them were 15 to 17 years old. And this is a result of all those years. So it became apparent that it was more cost-effective to systematically replace those. And we replaced one, and a few years later, when the next one went out, we found that there was new technology with the tankless system, more cost-effective. Once again, I think we put a tankless system in that ran a better capacity than this particular one at about half the cost of that one. And these guys came in just a couple of days and got it done. The roof. In all the years that I've been working there, and I've been there for 17 years, that roof has leaked. So once again, with Mr. Anderson's input, we elected to go with a new roof, and in doing so, we were being rained. If it rained outside, it rained inside. If you can remember being a kid, you have to put a bucket down. We had buckets throughout the entire building. But the difference here is this rain was coming in, hitting vital equipment. So we elected to go with this company. We got a roof put on. We put a coating on that roof that adds another 5 to 7 year life to it. And I think we have about a 20 to 25 year warranty on that roof. And so we have a brand new roof on that building, and I would honestly say it's in better shape than it was when it was first built. And that's it. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Gray. Any council members have questions, comments?
I do appreciate you doing the before and the after, and I'm grateful that we've got it taken care of and built with the technology. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Well, one of the things that we did do is every single thing that we do at that facility, we document it with on paper and in picture. That way, if there's ever any question of who did it, how it was done, we have some documentation of it.
Could you give them a few basic demographics on the detention center? How many people we typically house, what's the population, and how many people work there?
We have 28 employees there. That's from the director to the officers on the floor. We have typically around 95, anywhere from 90 to 95 inmates in the facility daily. But the one thing that I think is missed in the detention center is it's a 24-hour facility. So anything that's put there is not like a typical 8-hour-a-day job. It's getting 24-hour, 365-day use. So the wear and tear is quite different from a typical office.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much, Mr. Gray.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Taylor, if we could do the proclamation presentation this time. Ms. Locklear, if you would please read the proclamation out.
Whereas Fairfield County seeks to demonstrate its appreciation to individuals who passionately and vigorously display their concern for improving the lives and welfare of the people of Fairfield County. Whereas recognizing that firefighters hold one of the most hazardous professions, requiring physical strength, stamina, extensive training, courage, and selfless concern for the welfare of others, as did Mr. Skip Hannon, giving of his time, energy, and resources daily to improve the quality of life for the citizens of Fairfield County. Each citizen of Fairfield County owes a debt of gratitude to Mr. Skip Hannon, not only for the assistance in times of trouble, often at the risk of his own safety, but also for the long hours and arduous work that goes into being qualified to become a member of this elite group. Mr. Skip Hannon worked every day to make Fairfield County a better place in which to live and work. And whereas Mr. Skip Hannon answered the call to service, becoming a firefighter in 1971 in Pennsylvania, where he served as captain, assistant chief, and received his accreditation at the Monroe County Fire School and the PA State Fire School in Pennsylvania. He served as fire chief and assistant fire chief at Mack Truck in Pennsylvania prior to relocating in 1987 to South Carolina. He also served as fire chief on the fire brigade until retiring in 2002. He continued his education in the fire service at the South Carolina Fire Academy, becoming an adjunct instructor in 1991 and serving as the Fairfield County Training Officer for 10 years. Mr. Skip Hannon loved sharing his knowledge of the fire service with all firefighters. And whereas Mr. Skip Hannon started his service in Fairfield County by volunteering with Community Volunteer Fire Department and served as the Assistant Chief of Greenbrier Bethel Fire Department. Mr. Skip Hannon was a member of the South Carolina State Firefighters Association and received the honor of being the first completely volunteer president of the SCSFA. Mr. Skip Hannon received Firefighter of the Year with both stations and Officer of the Year at Greenbrier Bethel. Mr. Skip Hannon also was a member of the following organizations: South Carolina Society of Fire Service Instructors, South Carolina Fire Chiefs Association, Fairfield County Fire Chiefs Association, Joint Council Committee, Regional Coordinator for Region 2 Firefighter Mobilization, and Executive Board of the South Carolina State Firefighters Association. Mr. Skip Hannon is also a member of the South Carolina Firefighters Hall of Fame and was a loyal civil servant until the very end. And whereas Fairfield County fully realizes the standard of excellence set by Mr. Skip Hannon and wishes to publicly thank and gratefully acknowledge his service to the citizens of Fairfield County. Now therefore be it resolved that the people of Fairfield County are deeply saddened by the death of Mr. Skip Hannon and proclaim that the community is richer for his having lived and worked within it. The people also proclaim their admiration and respect for his accomplishments and the selfless manner in which he supported the community, and honor him as an example of citizenship and service at its finest.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Davis. I'm going to present this proclamation to the family, but first, real quickly, if any council members would like to say anything to the family since they're here, and many others who volunteer alongside Mr. Hannon as well. Mr. Pauley.
To the Hannon family, Fairfield County Fire Service, and fellow friends, I first would like to say that it was an honor to personally know Skip for the many years I did. I feel that the Fairfield County Fire Service is a better place because of him, and feel that he lived his life through dedicating his time and providing services to help others around him. To my understanding, Skip had 14 years of service in the state of Pennsylvania and 30 years of service in Fairfield County. He had South Carolina Fire Academy teaching hours of 12,127 hours and taught 13,190 students, which is truly remarkable. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank everybody from the fire service.
Mr. Roof.
I would just like to echo that also, and what an amazing man that gave so much of his life to protect so many people in different places. That's truly amazing to give up so much of your life for that. And thanks to all of our other firefighters that give so much time and risk their lives all the time for all of us, and just want to thank all of you.
Mr. Robbins.
Hannon family, on behalf of the council and Robinson family, I definitely want to give you my deepest condolences. I knew Skip personally, and he was a guy to tell you like it is. So I answered a few calls with him when I was with the sheriff's department. But, you know, it's an old saying, give me my flowers while I'm alive. I think the only time we do hear recognition for a lot of people is either in death or after when they're hurting, when they're sick. And I think it's something maybe we need to look at. Recognize people while they're alive, while they in good spirits. So I just want to let you know he was a great guy, and you guys definitely hold your head up high. A lot of people looked up to Skip. A lot of people. And thank you guys for coming.
Ms. Goins.
Good evening to the Hannon family. I did not have the privilege of knowing him for many years, but for the moments that I did, that he entered my life, I appreciate that time. And always say to the family, thank you for your additional sacrifice, because through all that he went through, you went through it with him. So I want to say thank you. God bless you. I pray you strengthen the Lord continuously. And thank you for allowing him to serve us.
Thank you, Mrs. Goins.
I just want to thank the family for letting us have him for a longer period of time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'll just add to everyone that's here tonight, we all appreciate it very much. We appreciate what you do. We take notice of it. And to the family, you know, that's a lot of hours. What was it, Mr. Pauly? What would you say again?
12,127 teaching hours.
We know that he wasn't with you guys when he was doing that, so we appreciate your sacrifice as much, just as much, very well. Thank you again for coming, and go ahead and present this now. Thank you.
You know, they always pick at me about because I'm so short. I have to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I know Skip gave everything he had to the fire service. I always used to tell him he had two loves. And I think the first one was the fire service, then was me. But right up until he passed, he always had the fire service in his heart, and he loved it from the time he was a young kid. I can remember when he first started with the fire department up north, and he became a member of the fire department that his grandfather was a founding member of. So it was tradition in their family too. And as you can see, we still have some other traditions. I have two sons that are firefighters. And so just him, you know, he used to practically trip over himself sometimes to go to a fire call at that point, because he was young and reckless, as they all are when they're really young and getting out in the fire service. But as he used to say, he wants to teach young firefighters to become old firefighters, and he wanted them to be safe. And that's what he did. That was his love and his passion. And that's, if anybody can learn something, find your passion. Thank you so much. Thank you for this.
Thank you very much for sharing him with us. All right, we are now down to item B on the County Administrator's Report, and I'll turn it back over to Mr. Taylor.
Yes, the next item we have is the expense report for this first quarter of our budget year. We should be at 25% with this being the first quarter, and as you can see, as council can see, our various line items are up and down a little bit, but most everything is on target, and the overall expenses right now are at 22%, and again, should be at 25%. So we're actually a little under budget right now, which is a good thing. If you have any questions, Laura Johnson, there's she, Laura. If you have any questions, here's Laura.
Good evening, Council. Won't hold you long. You've already received the first quarter of fiscal year 18 budget report. This covers July through September 2017. The department budget with variances greater than 25% were investigated. All the variances over 25% have been explained, which you should have received with your budget report. Majority of the variances pertain to annual maintenance agreements being paid at the beginning of the fiscal year, which is not unusual for that to happen. Other variances are due to travel taken at the beginning of the year, advertisements, workers' comp insurance, property insurance being paid at the beginning of the year. Also, some of the variances are due to encumbrances. Requisitions have been put in for goods or services, and the PO is generated, and so that PO obligates those funds. There are only 11 departments that were over 25%, some of them just a percentage over that. So if council has any questions after your review, please just let me know. Okay.
Thank you very much. Any questions? We all received the budget report prior to the meeting. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
The last item that I had under my report, council in their package received a lease and operating agreement between Brian Steed and the county. As council knows, we have changed how we operate the airport, and we're bringing that in as a county department as opposed to leasing or contracting the whole operation out to what's called a fixed-based operator, an FBO. We're changing it now where the previous fixed-based operator, which had been Brian Steed, he is more of a tenant to the county now and a contractor providing both airplane repair services and flight school. And the other activities of actually running the airport are being brought in under the county. This particular agreement was reviewed by, of course, our in-house attorney, Mr. James Stevens, who is the head of the Aeronautics Commission for the state of South Carolina, and our engineer, W.K. Dixon. And if there's any questions on that, please let me know.
Do we have any questions on that agreement? All right. Do we need are you ready to pass a motion on that tonight, or is everything fleshed out with that?
I think everything's fleshed out.
Okay.
With this.
That being the case, do we have a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the airport fixed base operator agreement as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? We're 6-0. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Taylor? Down to clerk to council's report, Ms. Davis.
Mr. Chair, council members, just to point out a couple of recent additions to the calendar. The intergovernmental meeting hosted by the school board will be held tomorrow, Tuesday, October 24th at 6 p.m. at the school board district office auditorium. Town of Winsboro will be hosting the next intergovernmental meeting on December 13, which is a Wednesday, 6 p.m. at the Winsboro Women's Club building. And also tonight, you received updated board and commission vacancies. All vacant seats in your district are highlighted in yellow. There are also a good many seats expiring in early 2018, so if possible, we need to stay on top of it.
Thank you very much. Now down to second public comment session.
One speaker tonight, Mr. Randy Bright, speaking on jobs.
Randy Bright, District 1, Ridgeway. I'm impressed by the fact that this council is a group of good landscapers. What I mean by that is you understand that priority one, if you want your plants and your lawn to grow, you must have water to your plants and shrubs. And the same analogy applies to having your county grow and thrive. The priority is jobs. And you guys have placed a priority on jobs and economic development. Nothing else comes close to emphasizing that priority. Within that same vein, you guys made a proclamation a few weeks ago to ensure that the state continues to pursue VC summer completion. And I think that was a wise choice. However, with the placement of jobs as a priority, we need to ensure that we don't chase this dream of nuclear plants for so long that we miss an opportunity for jobs through other alternative fuels for SCANA and SCE&G. I'm talking about the much cheaper natural gas and, of course, renewables. And just as advice, I would look at February as maybe a deadline date when we could start dropping the nuclear plant idea and start looking forward to other alternatives. What happens in February? Well, as you recall, Vogtle, our sister disaster in Georgia, the state of Georgia will announce by February, or in February, whether they're going to proceed with the Vogtle plant or not. And there are a lot of similar factors between us, although there was a much larger power company that was doing the Vogtle plant. But that's going to send a lot of signals to other people, and probably no one will make a decision to buy our plant until they see what happens to the Vogtle situation. And as you know, Toshiba, a factor in the Vogtle situation is Toshiba is close to bankruptcy. And remember, Toshiba planned, or said they planned, to give both failed nuclear construction companies several, I guess it's hundreds of millions of dollars. But Toshiba is $5 billion in debt right now and is very close to bankruptcy. So a lot of factors go in to this, and if Vogtle goes through, we have a great chance. If Vogtle doesn't go through, that's going to throw a lot of cold water on our particular expansion. I'm not saying that that's going to happen 100%, and I'm saying that you should study it yourself, but look for February for news on the Vogtle plant.
Thank you.
That concludes segment 2.
All right, we're now down to county council time, and I'm going to go ahead and let Ms. Bertha speak first because I know she wanted to say something about the board and commission information.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Wanted to ask if we could, on those commissions appointments, if we could do a advertisement in the paper, as well as if I would ask Ms. Davis if you could print up something, the qualifications about these positions flyers that we can actually put out in the community that people are aware of it. Because I would like, sometimes we just talk to one or two persons that we know, but I would love for anybody to have an opportunity. So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it if you could do it, and we can just put it out there as much as possible. Okay, thank you.
All right, anyone else? Mr. Roof?
Yeah, I agree with Ms. Goins on that. I think that would be a great idea to get that out, to have anybody the opportunity to be willing to serve on these boards and commissions, because I know we miss a lot of people that way. And also need to remember Terry Vickers' retirement and what a great job she's done for our county for so many years. And that's all I got. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Pauley. I'll call you Mr. Douglas.
Over the past few weeks, I have received several different phone calls concerning Cambio Academy, which is located on Greenbrier-Mossadale Road. From what I understand, this academy is a private troubled teen residential treatment and rehabilitation center. I understand that the center houses females ranging in age from 13 to 18 years old. I was informed that it opened in May of 2017, and since opening, the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office has received 95 calls regarding this center. I do fully understand that these teenagers need help and also need a stable environment to live in. My main concern regarding Cambio, however, are the Fairfield County residents who live within the Greenbrier community and close by the facility. From what I have been told, there have been reports of these teens running away and showing up in citizens' yards and even making their way inside of someone's residence. Another concern would be how time-consuming it has become for the Fairfield County Sheriff's Department to respond to these calls and diverting them from other matters within the county that may need their attention. In speaking with Sheriff Montgomery, it usually requires 2 to 3 deputies every time they respond to a call at Cambio. The sheriff also informed me that he met with the owner who lives in Ohio to discuss ways to help improve these issues. However, after giving the owner time to try to improve the issues, unfortunately, they still remain the same. At this point, I think the county needs to look into our options regarding the academy and see what the most prudent next steps may be. I don't think any of us would want the academy to have to close, but we have to look out for our own in the community and also reduce the burden on our taxpayer-funded resources that the facility has and is continuing to cost. I asked Mr. Taylor, along with our county attorney, could you please look into this and come back with some options?
All right. Thank you very much.
Also, Sunday, October the 29th, the sheriff is hosting his second annual Fall Festival. It's from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. They will have games, hay rides, Halloween contests. It is going to be in the back parking lot of the Sheriff's Department.
Ms. Goins.
Chair, just briefly a comment on Councilman Paulin's statement. From what I'm understanding, this has been an ongoing situation for quite some time. And from what I'm hearing now, it's time for a solution for it. So we definitely need to work forward and do an expedient job, not to let it linger. We obviously need to take care of it, very soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. I'd just like to mention the great service that Ms. Beth Reed provided the Fairfield County and the Fairfield County School District Board. The work that she did over there, as we all know, she passed this past week. I'd just like to recognize the service that she did over there and just say that we all have improvement to make, the school district, the county, but Miss Reed, when she was put on the board, I think a lot of the improvements that have been made have been since she was put on the board, and just like to mention that I appreciate that. Anybody else? All right, we'll now go into executive session. We've got a few items to discuss tonight. Contractual matter regarding water and sewer contract with Town of Winsboro. Contractual matter regarding a proposed hospital transformation agreement between Fairfield Memorial Hospital, Providence Hospital, and Fairfield County Council. And a legal matter regarding the detention center, a potential legal matter. Just like to also say that subsequent to executive session, council may take action on matters discussed in executive session. We have a motion to go in executive session for those reasons.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? We're now in executive session. Thank you.